In 2020, we saw a colorful update from Rolex with some Oyster Perpetual models. They came out with Oyster Perpetual models that have really bright and colorful lacquer dials. We're unboxing today in the 36mm size with a really cool yellow lacquer dial. I remember seeing a lacquer dial on a Rolex Day-Date in 2016 and was just blown away by the amazing dial on that piece. I really like the color and, more importantly, the texture of the dial. The dial is in a sort of turquoise blue color, and that reminds me of the Japanese cartoon character Doraemon. And since then, I've always been an admirer of these special color lacquer dials of Rolex. Truth be told, these really cool Rolex Day-Dates have always been super expensive, so I've never had the chance to own one, let alone in my favorite dial color and case metal combination. That all changed in 2020 when Rolex released this new Oyster Perpetual in 36mm. Some may love the green dial or pink dial of this new release. Me too. Yellow dial, however, has some splitting opinions because some think the dial color is gorgeous and warm, but some do think the yellow could look wrong under different lighting and is not a Rolex color per se. Also, the choice of 36mm might be intriguing for some people because clearly the market moves towards a bigger case size. That's a question mark. Today we're going to unbox this Oyster Perpetual and discuss why the 36mm yellow dial is actually the best choice amongst all case metal and dial color combinations. Let's open this cream colored Rolex box with this subtly raised Rolex logo. Immediately your eyes are drawn to the deep but quite attention grabbing green color. This is not a medium or big box as we could have gotten on a Rolex sports model or a gem set model. And we open up the box and we see the watch. The yellow just jumps out at you. The combination of the rich color with the monochromatic color steel case contrasts with each other super well. The beautiful and vintage looking brushed bracelet of the watch does match as well with the lugs. The bracelet has a micro adjustment clasp which allows you to change the size of your bracelet rather quickly. This is actually a pretty bonus feature because your wrist could shrink or expand a little bit during different temperature. I do think the bezel, the polished look, looks pretty elegant and contrasts really well with the brushed finish at the same time. The dial, now as I mentioned earlier, really is reminiscent of the vintage lacquer style dials of the Day-Dates in the 1970s. While the vintage ones have these beautiful dials on Day-Dates, which naturally are in precious metal, this beautiful Oyster Perpetual is really the people's style dial because the dial is housed in a more affordable and more robust steel case. The yellow just has a super rich texture and shine to it that the regular sunburst or flat dial cannot compare. The black printing of the logo and text also give the watch a more sporty look, which is totally in style with this Oyster Perpetual. The white lume plots are just so fresh looking, and they also have this really cool bluish color in the dark. As expected, the lume stays and lasts pretty long, at least longer than the normal 5711 I tried on earlier. Jokes aside, another reason I chose this 36 OP is that the 36mm is the size of original style dial Day-Dates, and this is another cool vintage tribute character that I really like. It just gives this watch a more vintage feel on the wrist, which I guess watch nerds like you and me do appreciate. And the 36mm for me is the perfect size for the majority of the wrists out there. I think if you have a partner or friend to share the watch with, and if you have a different size wrists, the 36mm would work really well on either man or woman, while the other options of 41 or 31 might be a little bit too extreme for some. The sweet spot of this time is really in the middle. I think this watch wears really well on the wrist. The yellow is a really happy color to look at and makes you smile every time you check the time. And being the Oyster Perpetual, it really is suitable for every activity. It's a perfect daily watch that you could also enjoy on special occasions. It's a daily wearable because it's so simple and no nonsense. It's super clean and goes with the jeans and t-shirt really well too. But also it will look really classic with a shirt and tie. I enjoy wearing it a lot during the summertime, and the yellow color reminds me a lot of Pikachu, which pretty much everyone adores. So yes, this vintage inspired yet effortlessly modern OP36 yellow is the ideal choice for me personally. Which Oyster Perpetual would you pick and why? Feel free to comment below, and I hope you enjoy the video. See you on the next one. Thank you.